expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of the streaming platforms, public access channels, the Kitty Rose Lifestyle, or the program underwriters.
Tim's on my feet, stomping out the burly face on, but the smile be heavenly.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. I am your host, Minister Kat, aka Kitty Rose. Whew, as we close the month of April. Wow, what did you guys think? How was Passover for you guys? How was Easter? How was Ramadan? Was it a moment of reflection? I know it was for me, and we're going to get into that as I go into our Jesus moment. But today's show, I wanted to bring it back to what we talked about a couple of weeks ago when I introduced or reintroduced my one-woman show, I Am You, coming back. When I first did it in 2019, it was off Broadway at the Producers Club, and I'm coming back to Harlem. So this week's topic of the week, I wanted to acknowledge the testimonies. I wanted to acknowledge the people that have came, or the people that came to the 5 shows that I did here in New York at the Producers Club. So again, today's topic is the testimonials of I Am You. I think it's important for people to see what people's reaction was when they came and saw this one-woman show. I did 5 shows, as I mentioned, and everyone in the audience was not friends of mine. Everyone in the audience weren't people that I knew. So it was important for me to get testimonies from people that I knew, but mostly from people that really didn't have any real relationship with me, people who came as guests of guests, students of mine that never saw me in that light. So it was important for me to give a light to those that took the time, one, to pay for a ticket, come out, and then get behind the mic and share their thoughts of my one-woman show, I Am You, which is a comedic satire monologue where I tell 7 stories of the last 25. Well, it was 25. Now it's, I guess, 30 since we have to add the 3 years of COVID. But yes, now then as I was approaching 45, now, as I approach 50, there was a moment of reflection as I was making this turning point, and I wanted to share where I was in my life. And I felt like where I was, so many of us get to those particular turning points, and we deal a lot with shame and guilt and resentment and joy, but sometimes not really able to see the joy amongst the resentment, hurt, shame of the things that gave us or got us to a point of joy. Recently, I shared with you all, not directly my Next Chapter audience, but those that follow me on social media. So if you follow me on social media or you don't, you already know you can check me out and follow me on my Instagram or on my YouTube, mostly on my Facebook, because that's where I'm most personable with. So if you go to the Facebook group at The Next Chapter, you'll get to see me outside of the studio element. But recently I just shared with the world how, and it's still kind of difficult for me to say, but I'm in a transition, or I'm in the part of the process where I have to pause and take employment. Maybe possibly even a whole career change, because even though I have talked to you guys the last couple of weeks about controlling the narrative, about creating your own space, about how grateful I am to have had the Kitty Rose lifestyle for the last 15, 17 years, leaving corporate in 2003. there's elements of a business for an entrepreneur, a business owner, an artist, where you go through a challenge where it tests your faith, your patience, your determination, your strength to follow through. Because to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, to be an artist is not an easy road to take. Like any other road, it's going to have its challenges with its rewards, but definitely its challenges. So currently, I'm at a challenge where I've tapped out of my savings and I don't have any regular income coming in. So from a practical point of view, even though I am doing things, taking gigs here and there, coming each week to bring you the next chapter as I secure this network deal that's next for this particular platform, I still have to eat, make sure that the bills are paid so that I don't go into debt. And I really only had the courage to share that I've been looking for employment or a possible career change because the courage of recently watching the SWV Escape show back on Bravo. And Taj from SWV mentioned that when the group ended the first time and Coco went off to do her solo gig, that she had to take like a job. And it was a menial job, like something like DSW. I know it wasn't that, but it was something simple that she had to do in the interim of waiting to the next component of where she's at now, if even where she is her endpoint now. But the point I'm making is that it goes through process when you are an artist or when you are an entrepreneur. But bringing me back full circle to now, 2023, even though I'm looking for employment, I'm still pushing my one-woman show. And as I push and market my one-woman show, like I said, I wanted to dedicate this show to the people that have came to the 5 shows I did in 2019 and 2020. So before I go into the first video, I want to give a shout out to the person who shot this video and did the edited, Young Blex, who is one of my son's 25-year-old best friends he grew up with, because I believe in keeping the work in the family. He's now doing illustrations, but this is what he did, he put together at our first show that we did back in 2019. So check it out. It's 6 minutes, but it's 6 minutes worth your time, and we'll be back. All right, it's your girl, Kat.
I saw her first show. I loved it. I thought there was a really good message. That's why I brought both of my nieces so that they could identify as they're going forward and learn and be able to have insight from what she has, what she's speaking.
Yeah, what feelings did it evoke in you after seeing the show?
I appreciate that she was raw and like she didn't like hide anything, you know. She was able to relate. I feel like all ages would have been able to relate to her show and stuff like that.
Thank you. What would you tell future guests?
Come and check it out. Come with an open mind. Don't set yourself up to think that it's going to be just one way, because it has such a spectrum of covering so many topics, and it gets to you in such a way that you really can relate and enjoy it and understand what she's saying.
I am you. That's what she said. And you can feel you and what she is saying.
Everything.
She aced it.
Thanks a lot for your time, ladies. Y'all have a wonderful night now.
In Miami, we're trying to make that show.
I thoroughly enjoyed the show, so I'm very excited to be here and to hear the stories. If you haven't seen the show, come out and see it right away.
Amazing show. I am you. Enjoyed it. I know I'm not all those women, but I definitely know.
Oh my God. First, I didn't know she was that cool. I said, what is she up to now? And I said to myself, wow, this is amazing. I'm glad I came. It's the first time I ever seen her, and it was so relatable. I think you should come see the show. She lets, especially women, know it's okay to do the things you have to do. You're not alone. It's not just about you, it's about the bigger picture, and she is you, she is us.
It was amazing to see somebody put themselves out there like that. Was a lot to say. If I tell you everything there is to know about me, you can't use it. But she was explaining to that the power that you have. I like you lost her train of thought. Some people freeze up in that moment. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna just talk to my people. Talk to my people. They're gonna talk back, and it's gonna come. And if it doesn't come, I still got something to say.
I like the show personally. It was real. It's more relatable. It was everything I really wanted to see. It's funny to know I am you, you are me, we're all the same.
It was absolutely amazing. I was inspired. I was inspired as an entrepreneur, as a black woman in business. She inspired me to do more and be better, be more. You need to follow her. Follow her on Instagram, Facebook. Her willingness. It takes great courage to do what she's doing.
And I love the fact that you reach out and inspire people to do more great things. You are such an inspiration.
It was a wonderful production. What I love most is Kat's authenticity and the fact that she is leading us on this healing journey and taking away shame and guilt and blame.
It was raw. Kitty Rose did her thing. You know, she really bared her soul. And like she said, I am you. You know, you can see a little bit of yourself in what she's talking about, even as a man. You know, we've all gone through stuff. You know, life is not always pretty. And I commend her, you know, for being so bold, you know, to expose herself and to make herself vulnerable.
It was all I expected and more. Like I just literally met Kat like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I was just her rawness and her realness just drew me in.
You know, it was reflexive of most people would never, you know, reveal about themselves. So I wish her all the best. Keep it up and love and light to everybody. Go see it. Don't be disappointed.
Just viewed the one-woman comedic satire monologue from Miss Kitty Rose. What was your first reaction after seeing the show tonight?
My first reaction was, wow, she really just went in deep. She told everything. She just let you know all about her. And it was a true story.
They having a good time in the studio. I don't know what they chuckling about. I'm enjoying. We have a good time here on Thursdays. Oh, not Thursdays, Fridays at BronxNet. But as you guys could see as the video ended, I Am You is coming to a city near you. But our first show for 2023 is going to be right here in New York in my home away from home of Harlem, NYC at the Dwyer on August 26th. So I'm excited about that. So I just wanted to give like a couple of shout outs about the testimonies that you just saw, because sometimes when people hear me talk about I Am You, they just swear that it's a woman's show. But as you can see, men were in the audience, young people were in the audience. And I wanted to mention one sister who I got a testimony from her, but it's not in this video. video. The sister named Lavette Fuentes. She met me online via Facebook and lives all the way in Atlanta, and came to New York for the opening night show of IMU. She's a girlfriend of mine now via social media, but not someone who's known me for years, not someone who's like in my family, friends that has just supported me. Nah, some new woman who's recently found me online, been following me, love what I'm doing. We were able to build this relationship, and she came all the way to New York from Atlanta to see my show. So I just wanted to give her a shout out, as well as some repeat offenders or some repeat people that literally, I think they came to all 5 shows. So Noreen Willington, Noreen, you saw her open up the testimony. She brought her nieces, but every show she brought a handful of people, not just one show, every show. Then we got my sister Cora, who said, I was motivating her, be something, follow. I love Cora. She's come to mostly every show, whether she's brought a man, a guest, whomever. She has supported almost all the 5 shows that I did 2019 and 2020. And then we have Diane McCrae. These 3 women really have, like I said, I think they came to all 5 shows. Outside of Alethea and Yesterday, who was supporting, working the shows, it was amazing to see these 3 women, like I say, come to damn near every show and bring a crowd of folks each time that they came. So I also wanted to acknowledge Young Jonathan. Young Jonathan was my host. I met him at a workshop at GOSO, working in the community with the youth, and he wants to get into acting and comedy. So, you give young people opportunities to break into what they say they wanted to do, like young Alex, who at the time was doing filming and photography and editing. It wasn't the best, but definitely again, the opportunity being given, presented, where he could see where he needed to get better or work on some things, but still gave us a feeling of being connected and hearing what the people had to say and telling a story. I loved his opening as we were getting on the train and going to Times Square. I really thought that was a nice added element, which is why I showed it to you today in this in this video clip. So we gave credit to Blex, who is now doing illustration. We gave credit to our host, Jonathan. We talked about this is a men and women's show. And then shout out the Producers Club. I see a lot of startup productions start there. They're very accommodating and they support the arts. So shout out to the Producers Club and my repeat offenders. And yes, I am looking to bring IMU to a city near you. So on that note, let's check out our first PSA of the evening.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
If kids start vaping, and I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is vaping? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Those are two of my favorite PSAs. I love where the Asian father talks about forget the cultural restrictions. And it's just not in the Asian community. That's in every single community, from blacks, Spanish, white folks. There's a restriction where men aren't taught to feel and love and show expression. But it's so important because time is so short, so long and so short. So I want to go into another video of testimonies, and this testimonies was a little special because these testimonies came, this was the last show that we did, March 14th, 2020, when they shut Times Square down. But the folks that came to this show represent my building, 920 BX, baby. All right. This Brooklyn girl couldn't have asked for a better place to live in the Bronx. 920 has been a home away from home, and this is a reason why I love them so. Check out this second video.
How you doing tonight, boss?
I'm doing all right.
You enjoyed the show?
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. She's very good at speaking her truth, which is, I like that. Like, you know what I mean? It was good. It was a nice show.
Like, do you have anything for someone who's coming to watch the show? Anything you should tell them to expect?
Well, expect a good show. I mean, it was real. I mean, she was honest, and she was very good. I mean, and the stories touch, like the welfare touch, kind of touched me a little bit. I kind of understand that with your parent on welfare, you know, it's like a circle, you know, but it's a good show overall.
Right.
She's good.
So it was touching. That's cool.
Yeah, it was.
Any thoughts on the $50 stripper story?
No, not really, because, I mean, you understand when she's a mother, like, you know, like she said, and my mother, you know, kind of the same, but she didn't really strip. But, you know, the uncles, I kind of understood that.
Right.
They come through, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they got to do what they got to do when they're the only one, man. But taking care of, I mean, kids that they have more than one, you know? Right. So I kind of got that. I understood that.
Thank you for your time for the show as well.
I did. You know, how I ended up here, I had like a near-death experience 2 months ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So there I came out the hospital. I'm in the elevator. I see Kat. We live in the same building.
Right.
And she was like, "What you going through?" And I told her everything. Like, you know. So, you know, she said she has this warm bonding. I've known her for years, but never really spoke to her. So, you know, I told her everything. Like, I was dead, literally dead. And then I come home from the hospital. I looked like hell.
Glad you can make it here tonight, man.
And she just looked at me. She's like, "What you going through?" And she came upstairs with me. And I cried my eyes out. Tell her everything, like how I ended up and shit. Like, you know, you do stuff. Like, you know, her honesty. Like, I became a drug dealer, which led me to craziness and almost killing myself. So, you know, just, you know, she didn't judge me. She just made me feel better. She was like that angel I needed that day. And that's why I'm here. So.
As far as the stripper story goes, I didn't know anything about that. I wish I did know. I probably would have went to go see her and threw a couple of bucks at her, you know.
She would have had $55.
You know, because when she was doing that thing up there, you know, I was like, yeah. So that's about it, I guess. You got any other thing to ask me?
That story is funny.
Yeah, it is funny. It is funny, but I didn't know.
The control room just said, "Wait, what? You was a stripper?" So you got to come to the show August 26th and really find out what's the bones behind that story. Because no, I wasn't a stripper. However, ain't it something when you can make yourself chuckle? Shout out to 920. I am so appreciative. Those are two brothers, by the way. Yeah, so I am already sold a couple of tickets from the neighbors in the building. So I'm looking to at least Bronx. This is a Bronx Net taped show. Even though this is a Bronx Net show, we tape in Bronx Net, but we air on Brick and Manhattan Network. So for my Manhattan folks, my Brooklyn folks, and my Bronx folks, August 26th. Come and support and see IMU. But for 920, there's about 10 of y'all, about 10 of y'all I should definitely see in the audience. So blessings to my neighbors, which is my village. that I've come to make family since coming to the Bronx. So appreciative to them. I think we have another PSA before I show you guys one more testimony for the evening. So let's go to our last PSA for the night.
Man, it's lonely. Going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music.
Oh man, I'm telling you, we had 3 different studios that we used at the Producers Club, or 3 different theaters that we used. The seating from 50 to 70. The most we had was the 70 seats filled, but we've had shows where we've only had 12, 15 people in the audience. So from the 5 shows I've done where I had 15 people in the audience to 70 people in the audience, you can imagine the amount of testimonies that we were able to get. So once again, I'm appreciative of young Jonathan and Alex being able to get as much footage as they did so far. And if you follow me on social media or you go to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see just a few other testimonies that have been taken. Or if you've watched IMU over the last couple of weeks, you've gotten to see some of the testimonies that I've snuck in between, showing you what it took to actually make IMU. But it's nothing like getting a personal point of view from someone who's actually watched your development as a woman and as a mother. And one of the women that you're getting ready to see is a connection from Alethea. You'll hear Alethea's voice. You'll see pictures of Alethea. Those that know me personally know how I rock with Alethea. Those that follow me online think they know how I rock with Alethea, but Alethea was at every single show because that's how we've been able to connect and bond as sisters, as women in business, as artists, knowing what we both need when we need it, when we're working a particular project. So there's never enough thanks I can give to Alethea. I actually tell her, I make a joke, which is really not a joke, that she has a bill with me so that when I make it, you know, all the stuff that she's instilled in me over the course of now going on 15 years, I'll be able to financially repay her if I can ever. But this is one of the sisters that she brought into my life, who is from a collective that Alethea and I shared together, as well as share with the world, called Unveil Unlock. You've seen me talk about Unveil Unlock, and this sister particularly is one of our dear sisters that is from the collective. So let's hear her testimony, and that'll be the last one for this evening, and then, you know, we'll wrap up. So here is the testimony from my dear friend, Anita.
Seen it, and I'm like so happy for her, and it's wonderful. And I remember one time when, I don't know how many years ago this was, you know, her children were much younger, and she always says, I wonder how it's going to be, you know, how I'm going to do this, you know, am I going to be able, you know, to really handle certain situations and questions that come up with my children as they get older. And that's why you have older women you try to go to, you know, when you're thinking, you know, to, you know, get feedback from them and run certain things, you know, across from them. And I've just seen the growth. And her children, they're grown, they're beautiful. You know, she's done a good job. That's what I say.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Your name?
Anita.
Nice to meet you, Anita.
Mm-hmm.
Anita. We all need her. Wow. Excuse me, folks. Let's just take a moment to digest all of that love. It doesn't matter how many times I watch these testimonies, it always touches my heart because nobody has to say anything. You know, they could have come and say, yo, this shit is whack. Because if it is, that's how they take it. But they all got the point. They all saw the relevance in what I was doing. It wasn't just rhetoric. It wasn't just comedy. It wasn't just let's just support Cat. It was let's support Cat, but wow, I was able to take away. I was able to learn. I was able to apply. And that's what I want people to walk away with. When I say that we're all reflections of each other, I say that because I want you to be able to see a feeling you had that you tucked away somewhere, denied yourself from addressing and dealing with. And because of that, it prohibited you from moving from step A to step B to step D to step C to get to step D to end at step Z. But we get so bogged down with those C, D, E, F, I, J in-betweens that we block ourselves from getting to Z, if that makes sense. So I am you. Shout out to my sponsor. That's what I am you. I am you is about. Because we've all had these bumps, moments, and okay. What did that mean? All that meant is, as an imperfect person, you stumbled, you fell, you bruised your knee. But we got Band-Aids, we got alcohol, we got peroxide, we got things we can use so that it doesn't get infected, so that it can heal, so that it doesn't hurt for too long. So we apply those same techniques. The scriptures gives us the suit of armor. The suit of armor, the breastplate, the helmet, the sword, the knees, everything is to protect these parts that we can afflict on ourselves. Because I am you, and I'm human and imperfect. So I'm going to fall. So that goes into my Jesus moment. My Jesus moment. My Jesus moment is realizing as we close the month of April, and for some of us that have gone through Easter, some of us that has gone through Ramadan, myself going through Passover, it's a moment of reflection. So for me, my moment of reflection, my Jesus moment as I close the month of April is being grateful for the Passover, being grateful for the way that the story was told about a man who came to earth knowing, now we all know we're going to die, but this gentleman knew that his purpose was to die. So he walked this earth, he learned his faith, he learned his scriptures, he met folks along the way. And the beauty about Christ is that as a no man, he wasn't one looking for riches. He was one looking for, as a messenger, to share a message to people that look like him, that didn't look like him, that could relate to him, maybe not relate to him, but that could all hear a message because was at a place in their life to receive what was being said. Now, we don't know all about the 33 years that Christ was here. It's very particular about what stories they share. So it's very particular when Palm Sunday happened and we have these days that walk up to the death of Christ, to the day that he knew as he's walking through that city and people were throwing shit at him and cussing at him and yelling at him, that he still, once even getting on the stake, freaking nails in his body, still looked over to his right and forgave a sinner and told a sinner who was a sinner, who was a criminal, that he would be with him in paradise. On the stake. never wavering from his purpose, never wavering from his testimony. And to show you that he walked with everyone and talked to everyone, what's the saying? Be like Christ, not like Paul. I love the story that they don't share with us about his relationship with Mary. Not his mama, the prostitute. Because we all know when men talk to prostitutes or go to prostitutes, it's a level of comfort. Not always sexual. Wink, wink. Let me not, I hope that wasn't a bit too heathen moment. But a level of an ear, companionship. So who knows what Mary Magdalene was to Jesus? But they told us that story. They shared with us that relationship. No other relationship with a woman except for that one. So again, it brings me back to I am you, that don't be ashamed of any of these stories we tell, because they're all reasonings and build up to who we are. And I think what the story about Jesus and his relationship with Mary Magdalene was showing that he didn't put no shame on folks. Not to say that fornication is right, but he didn't come and judge this woman and said, you're a whore, I'm not dealing with you. This woman washed his feet. So that's my Jesus moment. My Jesus moment is that there's no shame in these stories. Because like I started saying in the beginning of the show, me looking for a job, me doing this one-woman show, me going to Africa, me producing the next chapter, all these things that I'm doing right now is the setup for the culmination of what my life is to become when I am called to, I'm just going to say, my maker. What my life represents at the end. What people will be able to say about Cat, Kitty, Mom. What I will feel about myself with the goal back to Christ of resurrection in a paradise right here on earth. That's my goal. That's what I'm hoping my life leads up to. So now that brings us to the inbox question. So look, y'all, I've been getting some inbox questions, but y'all been slacking because I know y'all got more stuff to ask me than the 1 or 2 questions I get a week. However, if I got more questions, then I wouldn't be able to answer them on air, all on air. So I guess the 1 or 2 questions is good. You can ask questions by going to our Facebook group page, The Next Chapter, and DMing me your questions there. So this question this inbox question for the week is actually someone, I guess, who's been watching and following the show the last couple of weeks as I've been talking about I Am You. So this is Jackie from the Bronx. Actually, Jackie from Rochester. Jackie, what's up, Jackie? Jackie says, and I think she's an artist because she was very direct in this question. What is it like now working with Michael Green as your director from Shades of Truth Theater? So me and Michael, we just had our first script reading a couple of weeks ago, and then we've been talking ever since. And it's funny because I actually wanted Michael Green as my director about 3 years ago, but hadn't said anything to him yet. So when I met with New Heritage, and they said that they wanted Michael Green to direct this play, I was ecstatic. I was like, yes! That's who I wanted, and I hadn't talked to him yet. So I was happy that New Heritage wanted to use Michael Green. So how it's been so far? It's been interesting because he's really ripping my show apart. I'm starting from the age of 20. So I worked backwards. The first few shows I did, I started at 45 and went backwards to 20. Michael Green wants to start from the age of 10. So I don't know if we're going to do that because right now we're at the stage where I'm adding these new stories for him to chop, create, make anew. I don't know. But he's taking this in another direction. He felt like you guys needed some more meat about the beginning of how I got where I got. So as a humble artist and not a professionally trained actress, I am taking his lead because I am not a professionally trained actress. So I'm excited. And my first director was supposed to be Danny Shore. That quite didn't happen because of COVID. And then I had George Williams, who was awesome. And then I wanted to have one of my best friends, who's actually the assistant director on Wu-Tang's television series, Be Nice. I wanted actually Be Nice on a personal level to direct this. But again, since Shades of Truth is the production company behind this production of I Am You, they chose Michael Green, and to be honest with you, I am very much content and I'm excited. I'm actually going to one of his shows coming up this week, so you guys won't be able to see it because it's actually playing the week that this show is airing. But check Michael Green out. He is the artistic director from Shades of Truth Theater Group. And that's interesting, Shades of Truth, because that's what IMU is about. So it's nice that he can now add this production to his repertoire as well. So that was really beautiful. So I'm gonna start showing you guys new trailers of stuff that we're gonna be working on, new stories that he's gonna be adding into the current production. We're gonna take some stories out and add some stories. But I wanted you guys to see what the newer trailers looked like. So I am my week's spotlight segment. Hello. I am my spotlight segment of the week. Spotlight segment of the week is the newer versions of the trailers from IMU, because I did a virtual show in my house. That was cute. It was okay. But I knew I could do more. So we did another virtual show in the studios that I worked at with Project Media Zone. And that actually wasn't live, obviously. There was no audience, but it was the closest I think that you could get to a live show. And as we work on these new trailers and these new marketing promos that we're gonna be doing, of course, the summer, I'm gonna share with you guys these last two videos that we're gonna combine together that is kind of like my new trailer for the new version of IMU. So check these two videos out, and we'll talk about it before we close for the evening, so you can find out where you can get your tickets for my upcoming one-woman show, IMU, this year, August 26, 2023, in Harlem at the Dwyer. Check out these last two trailers. All right, guys. So I'm working at the Mary J. Blige Center, and things are going well. I decided that this is the direction that God is leading me in when it comes to activism work. I just closed my store, retail store, so I'm happy. 2014, I finally get off of welfare. But I did the math. And when I did the math, I had spent damn near 25 years off and on welfare. And I had a problem with that because last year I had to get back on. And I felt so ashamed that here I was again applying for welfare. Is that you have to listen in order to be better. You have to listen in order to grow. You have to listen in order to move. Because what I did also learn in these 26 years is that it's not simply good enough to change. Because you can always change back. But what's important is that we grow. Is that we grow. And that we grow in understanding. That we grow in acceptance. And that's where I'm at. That's why I can tell you these stories without no shame, without no judgment, without no fear. Because I've come to a place of understanding that that stuff was my journey. And you know what's crazy? Not only was it my journey, but it was my journey to you. Because you had to know that that shit you did at 20, that shit you did at 17, that shit you did even at 40. They don't define you. What defines you is how you get up and make yourself better and make yourself anew and make yourself shine in the glory of the God within yourself. Embracing that power to know that that shit is just shit. We all got it. We've all done it. But we all also have the opportunity to be better. Amen. And that opportunity is what we need to embrace. Is what we need to get excited about. Is what we need to be active in order to be active in the street, in order to protest, in order to be enraged where it makes sense, where it comes together. Because that rage in the street doesn't make any sense and doesn't do anything for our people, unless we begin to hold up that mirror to ourselves and say, self, you okay? And you are loved. Because I'm going to tell you, folks, we are all just reflections of each other. I tell you every day, people come to me and say, thank you. That's my story. Thank you. That happened to me. Thank you for saying that. No, not exactly the same story, but the feeling once again, because we are reflections of each other. And when we learn that we are reflections of each other, we will stop judging not only each other, but we will stop judging ourselves and just learn to embrace what it is, that it is, so that we can grow and be better. Amen. Hallelujah. And that's what I Am You does. I Am You is a reflection that I am you. And it's okay. Shout out once again to George Williams for a beautiful way of shooting my story and editing and the music underneath. One thing we couldn't do in the virtual show is actually show the videos how we have it set up in the live show. So you hear the music underneath. So when I talked about the Mr. Welfare story, you know, I opened that story with a scene from Claudine. Shout out to Claudine. Shout out to Gladys Knight and the Pips for the beautifully made soundtrack. Last week, we just talked about the role music plays in our life. And Gladys Knight, she did her thing on this soundtrack. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movie Claudine. Since we don't own the rights and I didn't pay for anything that I'm using, the least I can do is give them some credit, right? So the movie Claudine, one of my all-time favorites. But there's a scene in the movie where James Earl Jones is visiting and the welfare lady comes and Claudine has to hide him in the closet, as well as all the little stuff that he's gotten her as a garbage man, an iron, you know, a television, all these little things that you find along the way. Nothing, no major purchases, but little things that they have to hide because they need to be able to still collect these little ass benefits that public assistance gives to still maintain, but have to lie about what they're getting on the side. So I felt that sometimes that's been my life. You know, I've had to go on and off welfare for the last 25 years, but I've learned how to not use or manipulate the system, but use the system in a way that benefits me. I guess my own form of reparations. But I had to work that out because there was a shame connected, like maybe something I was less than, you know? And when I was off and did the math, I was happy, you know, to finally feel like I was self-sufficient. And then when I had to get back on, it broke my spirit. But instead of looking at that, hey, this happens and I do pay taxes, how am I going to be opposed to receiving something that, one, this country freaking owes me, but then also, yes, I pay into as a taxpayer. So again, it was a mental thing I had to shift from so that I can share the story, because I know that there are other women or other men even that have had downs in their life and had to apply for public assistance, and because of the stigma attached that folks are lazy. You heard the song, "They Think I'm a Lazy Woman." Far from. But you get attached to such a stigma that you don't want to share that this was actually a platform that you were able to crawl your way out of, or this was a platform that allowed you to be a full-time parent, whatever this platform allowed you to do, other than the people that just stay at home all day and watch soap operas. And to be honest with you, I don't know those people. I know they exist. Don't get it twisted. But I don't really think I know those people. They say, walk like a duck, act like a duck, it must be a duck. They also say birds that flock together must be. So the birds that I flock with are doers. So I had to remember that, which is, again, why I couldn't be ashamed then to share the story, because that's not my identity, because the world wants that to be the identity of those that look for public assistance. And that's what I meant about growing, not just changing. Because when we change, we can change back. And if we don't change our mentality so that we can grow to the next level of thinking, then we remain stuck. So I opened the show with Nina Simone, right? I opened the show with Nina Simone at this, doing an interview with this journalist. And this journalist was asking her, what does no fear mean to her? What does no fear mean to her? So I opened it with this video. So of course, again, I don't own the rights to the video, so I can't do it in the virtual show. In the virtual show, I just open with the text of what she says. And what she says is about she wants to shake people up. Shake! That's how I feel sometimes. When I talk to people, I just want to shake them. Shake people up. Entertain, but educate and show them the love that we have for each other, amongst each other. And when you're able to do that and reach those people with that messaging, she said that was no fear. That was no fear for her. So this is my way of showing the fear with no fear, by allowing myself once again to be the sacrificial lamb, to come to you guys and share 7 stories about my life that's really about your life, about our life, this life. So again, one of the main reasons why this was so important to me was because as I was reflecting, we are in this time of protest. Well, not really. Most people aren't protesting, but they are protesting to me on a, I don't want to take anything away, but I think sometimes I feel like it's a surface level, because it's protests without, in my mind, at least my visuals, action. Again, my mind and my visuals, I could be wrong. And I hope I am wrong. I hope that all these organizations that are out in the street organizing protests, I hope behind the scenes they are doing a lot more than just gathering folks in the street. Because if we are not taking action at home with ourselves, with our loved ones, with those that matters most, like our children, then all the protesting that we're doing in the world, what does that really mean? What does that really stand for? How impactful can that really be? No shade or disrespect, maybe a little shade, maybe a little disrespect, because I want to be about action. I don't just want to come on you every week, guys, and talk about problem here, problem there. It's about results. It's about action plans. It's about tools. How can we get better? When do we just stop having the conversation and actually have action? So my suggestion is, in our protests, let's go back to the ways that things actually was done and got changed. Let's go back to boycotting. Let's go back to hurting people where it unfortunately matters the most, and that is the pocket. But we're not there yet. So since we're not there yet, I guess another way that we can support the cause is by supporting each other in business and the arts. You like how I did that segue, right? So, hey, support your girl. Support each other by coming to my first show, August 26th. Where now? Harlem, did you say? The Dwyer Cultural Center. And I'm excited, like I said, to present to you guys that the new Heritage Theater Group, run by our dear beloved Rosa Rivers, is producing this show. And it's directed by Shades of Truth artistic director Michael Green. Yes, very much. I am professional. And one of the benefits of having this platform on public access television is that I get to tell you guys each week about my show, reach an audience that I would have never reached just doing regular marketing. I get to come into your home and share with you how I Am You was created, how many people were involved in the beginning stages, how many people are involved now in the current stages, and the people that have supported us through the 5 shows, not just 5 shows, because I did some virtual shows. And the virtual shows, I gotta give some credit. My sister Shea Butter, she held together her women's group, and they created an online group where she brought a group of women together, and they watched the show as a group on a Friday night where we had some wine together. So Shea Butter, brought for all those that bought tickets when we sold the show online for $15 through my website. So we've had tremendous support. So I'm just asking once again for those that haven't seen this production, but they can now join the many people that have saw these different layers of production and get to see this new, because it's a new show. It's a new, brand new show, August 26th. So how can you find out more details if you need more details? We come to the part of the show that if you follow, like, and share, you'll always be in tune. So come on, you know I don't like this part. Like the show, follow the series, follow my journey, and share. Share. We're getting ready to go to Albany, right, to talk about the state wanting to end or stop the funding for public access television. So not only do we as public access producers need to speak up for ourselves, but you, the neighborhood, the community, can speak on our behalf by joining us in Albany, by also online liking, following, and sharing what you see each week from your girl, Minister Cat, a.k.a. Kitty Rose, from the next chapter, where we discuss Shades of Grey. So I hope you enjoyed this episode tonight. I'm looking forward to coming back to you next week. And yes, I really hope to see you in the seats at the Dwyer Cultural Center. When? August 26th. Did I say that enough? August 26th, 2023. It's your girl, Kat, Minister Kat, a.k.a. Kitty Rose. I come to you again this week from the next chapter where we discuss Shades of Grey. Good night, everyone.
If it seems we get busy, it's cause we actually do. Take a look into my eyes, let them take you to the side. Meet my ride or die, Shay and I. Thankful for my sisters by my side who held me down during dark times. Many